Welcome to this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through their industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have Bobby Carlton. She is the founder of Carlton PR and Marketing. She is a speaker and she advocates for more women on stage. Welcome to the show, Bobby.
Thank you so much for having me, Ajay.
You are welcome to the show. You are welcome to India in this online format. And I'm sure not just in India, but a lot of people will benefit from what we are going to talk about. We'll be talking about public speaking for business and career success. So, my first question to you, Bobby, is that first to understand, you advocate for more women on stage. Help us understand this part of your mission, and then we'll come to the other questions.
Okay, so a few years ago, a company called Bizzabo did a bunch of research on this and discovered that 2/3 of all conference speakers are men, and that leaves women out of a lot of opportunities for career and business success. There are things like women get a tiny, tiny fraction of the venture capital for startups. We don't see as many women in the C-suite or on boards. I think it's something like less than 5% of the CEOs for Fortune 500 companies are women. So public speaking is a path to all of these different business and career success opportunities. So I chose that as my personal mission.
Right, right. So you talk about public speaking as a path to business and career success. Can you elaborate on this, if you can? Because a lot of people are speaking. They are trying. So many are trying to look for speaking opportunities. Many are getting opportunities, but then they are not getting paid. So how exactly they should look at this as a path to when public speaking itself becomes your business, then how do you look at it? That also, if you can say. So we'll come to those aspects, but first to understand what is it this in public speaking that can actually skyrocket your business and career.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of people think about public speaking when I talk about business success or career success is they're equating it with getting paid. But there is a lot more to it than that. When you are a public speaker, you are afforded more expert status. People see you as a thought leader. People are more inclined to buy your product. It will shorten your sales cycle. There are so many different benefits to public speaking. I actually call them the 5 C's of public speaking. So, number one, you get credibility. Number two, you are demonstrating and you are also building confidence. We all like to do business with people who are confident. Number three, you are connecting directly with people who are either prospects to become your customers, or you are demonstrating to your customer that you are a thought leader and an expert in the field. So there are all these different C's of public speaking. And really, the last one is cash. When you are a good, solid public speaker, you are more likely to make more money. There's actually a lot of studies that have been done that equate higher salaries with good public speaking skills. But also, as a business person, you have that visibility that public speaking drives. If you think about it, all of the connections that you make because you are on stage at a conference or an event can only help you. You'll never be seen as a leader when you're sitting in the audience.
Absolutely, absolutely. Then, how does one get started with this? Because let's look at it from three aspects. One is the business aspect,
Mhm.
one is the career aspect, and the third is the paid aspects. When public speaking itself is your business in whatever way you want to do it. How do you get started into all this? And secondly, I wanted to look at it from this whole big area coming up in terms of book writing, and almost every second person is writing books to gain that credibility. uh, do you think it will almost become public speaking will also be always be also become like this book writing, where there will be two sort of speak writers, or one are the serious ones, one are the trying ones, and then you are trying to build your profile through that. Same with public speaking. How do you become a serious public speaker which can actually impact your business and career positively, and not someone who is just a wannabe who is trying extra hard but without skills or the profile for that?
Yeah, and I think people think about very public speaking often very narrowly. They think about it as one person on stage by themselves. Often it's the keynote role that people look at and say, "Ah, I have to be that." But actually, public speaking, there are so many different opportunities for public speaking. I call it the speaker's paradise. When we look at all of the different opportunities, you could be on a panel. You could be a co-presenter. You could be a featured speaker or a breakout speaker. You can be a workshop leader. You can be a guest on a podcast or a video podcast like I am today. This is public speaking. When you
Okay.
have a area that you can focus on, you tend to become known for that area. So a lot of people will contact me if they are specifically looking for somebody to talk about gender equity. They'll specifically talk to me when they want somebody to come in and talk about women and public speaking. That's because I have focused in on that area. So you have to start off, if you're thinking about public speaking as a path to business and career success, you need to start off and think about what is your area of focus? What do you want to be known for? Picture it this way. You've got a Venn diagram. One area, one circle is your area of expertise and your passions. The second circle is what do you want to be known for? What is your brand? And then a third circle is what does the audience need to know? A lot of people forget that third all important circle because they're so focused on themselves as public speakers. But if you think about public speaking as an act of service to the audience, what problems can you solve? What pain can you solve? If you think about it and come at it from that point of view, you will become more easily selected by an event manager than if you get up on stage and it's all about you. So think about how you can be of service. That's one of the first steps. Then you need to figure out what areas you can focus on. You want to become known for a topic so that when an event manager is looking for somebody to speak on that topic, they select you. Then you need to understand some of the mechanics about how people get on stage, kind of the basic currency of a lot of speaking opportunities is what we call the call for speakers. A lot of conferences and events will actually put out requests. So if it's an annual event, once they're finished with this year, they'll start looking for next year's speakers and they'll put out a call for speakers, or sometimes it's a call for proposals. And if you apply, that is one way of getting to the stage. Now, how do you be successful with that application? Well, I always tell people look at last year's winners. Look at the agenda from last year. Who got on stage? What were they talking about? What is it that you could add to that conversation? Where are there gaps? Gaps that you can fill. Then you need to put together a presentation abstract. That's going to be part of your application. That abstract needs to have a catchy title, but not too creative. You want people to know what it is you're talking about. Then you want to have a well thought out abstract that really helps people understand what they're going to learn from you and why you are the person that needs to give that presentation. So there was a lot in there. Did I miss any part of that question? Oh,
There is
authorship.
right.
Authorship. Authorship is another way that people build their credibility. And we see a huge overlap between event speakers and authors. And a lot of times becoming an author, especially if you go the traditional route of working with a major publisher, that is so much credibility that it kind of vaults you up into another area of public speaking. It really does help build you up as a speaker that people want to hear from. People think, oh, this person literally wrote the book on this topic. I need to have them at my conference or my event. But there are all kinds of different ways to go through the path to authorship. You can self publish, you can use a custom publisher. It's just, kind of varying degrees of credibility that come with those things. And it's interesting. One of my companies, so I have 3 companies. The day job is Carlton PR marketing, but the dream job is Innovation Women. And that's the dream of more women on stage at conferences and events. We have about 2,500 speakers on our platform, and about 450 of them are also authors. So that gives you a sense of like what percentage of people who are interested in public speaking are also writing books.
Right, right, Bobby. So how does it work on your platform? It's like a marketplace or something?
It is exactly a marketplace. Event managers can come in and search our database for free. The speakers pay $120 a year to become members. They get a profile on the platform. They get access to lists of hundreds of calls for speakers on our platform. They also get access to many, many hours of educational content. And a really important thing, I think, for speakers, they get access to our community of speakers. We call them speaker friends. And one of my theories of public speaking success is that the most successful speakers have friends who are also speakers because you get on stage, you do a presentation, and all your friends are like, that was great. You were wonderful. Other speakers will tell you, hey, you were kind of flat in the middle. Maybe you need to like step it up here. You went a little long. Like other speakers will tell you the truth. Your friends will tell you you're fabulous because they know the courage and the effort that it takes to get on stage. Other speakers want you to be good. They want you to do a great job.
Right, right, Bobby. So let's look at it like this. Lot of events, people want known people so that they can
Mhm.
bring in the audience.
Ticket
What
sales.
about right? Absolutely. What about people who have just started, say in career? If you want to boost your career and if you need the stage, it means you need some boost in your own career through that stage.
Yep.
And so, why would people give you a chance? What are the things that you can create either through skill set or through whatever means that will help you? One is that part.
So
Same with business,
yeah. We talk
right?
about creating a foundation for public speaking, whether it's authorship, whether it is your own podcast series, whether it is being a guest on a podcast, whether it's your writings, maybe you are really active on certain social media networks. You have to demonstrate that expertise. You can't be up there, for example, talking about entrepreneurship if you've never run a successful business. So you need to demonstrate that success. And yes, there's a whole class of what I call celebrities. Celebrity speaking often helps drive ticket sales. Once I had an event manager tell me that he could get more ticket sales if he had an intern from Google than if he had the CEO of an unknown company. So a lot of times when you're a speaker, you need to have a speaker biography that includes recognizable company names, recognizable brands. For example, I did a TEDx talk. That is a brand that people recognize. I've been profiled in the Wall Street Journal. I've spoken on stage at the United Nations. Like, these are brands that help build your foundation. So think about the things that you can do to build your foundation, and you need to practice. You need to get on stages, whether they're small stages or unknown stages, and you really need to build up your stage presence. You need to build up your expertise as a speaker. I have to admit, I've seen some celebrity names who are actually not great public speakers. And they get on stage and people are like, I paid big money to see this speaker. And they're not great. And everybody's disappointed. And it really impacts the success of the event. If that keynote speaker is a dud, it's not good for anybody. So yes, the event manager may have sold a bunch of tickets, but in the future, people are not going to be as willing to lay out money if the speakers they bring in are not great. So you need to be great, and you need to collect the evidence that you're great. You need to have videos of you basically being great on stage. You need to have pictures of you from the back of the room with the audience applauding or standing ovation or raising their hand. Like, show that engagement with the audience. So think about all of the things that you can do to build that great speaker foundation.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Bobby. Any specific tips for women, especially those who are starting out, either in business and in career? How do they break through this whole queue, which is already, getting longer by the day? And at the same time, you say that, fewer women on stage. Is it their reluctance, or is it that men are making the queue so long?
All right. So there's a lot of different things going on with the lack of women on stage. A lot of times, an event will invite certain groups. For example, maybe they're going to put together a panel of Fortune 500 CEOs. They have a very small group of women that could potentially belong to that group. So there are reasons that women are not invited to some speaking engagements because they're not in the rooms from which the speakers are being selected. There's also this self-perpetuation on speaking. Speaking begets speaking. The more speaking you do, the more speaking you will do. We invite Joe because he did a great job last year and the year before and the year before that. So Joe becomes a regular. Meanwhile, Josephine has never gotten that opportunity. Now, I talk to so many event managers, like literally thousands of event managers are on our platform. And one of the things that they tell me is that women turn down more direct opportunities than men do. So I did a little bit of research on that. Number one, women are more likely to work for smaller companies. Smaller companies don't have the budget to send people to big conferences and have them out of the office for 2 or 3 days and traveling and hotels. Half of all event managers don't pay speakers at all. So that means that the small company, it's an undue burden to send anybody to a conference. And if women are more likely to work for smaller companies, there's a problem. Number two, women are more likely to work part-time. It's really hard to be out of the office at a 3-day event if you're only working 3 days a week. So maybe you don't want to miss like a whole week at work. And again, maybe there's nobody to backfill for you. Number 3, women are still more likely to be responsible for kids at home. It's super hard to be the morning keynote if you've got to put little Johnny on the bus at 8 a.m. So again, women are more likely to turn down these opportunities. It doesn't mean, though, that we should stop making those invitations. And women, we need you to step up. There is actually a name for what we see on stage a lot of times, the all-male panel. We call that a manel. And so we want to avoid the manel because the most interesting conversations that happen on stage happen among a diverse audience. So the more diverse people that we get on stage, the more perspectives we get. So, and it doesn't just apply to women as well. I mean, people of color are less likely to be on stage, at least in some different industries, and especially in the US. We also see fewer people who have disabilities. There's all kinds of reasons that people don't end up on stages. And we're really missing out as far as the audience goes. One of the things that you asked me earlier on was when people do get on stage and they do speaking engagements, a lot of times they're not reaping the benefits from a business perspective. And a lot of times that happens because they aren't thinking about how they can connect with that audience afterwards. So you need to have a speaker business model. Maybe it does involve being paid by the organizers, or maybe you have a way to connect with the audience after you're done speaking so that they can potentially become your customer or your client. So you need to really think through this whole thing and not just rely on getting paid by the event organizers.
Absolutely, absolutely. You have put these points very, very nicely, Bobby. And there is so much to learn about speaking about this, and we must, not only talk about the speak, we must hear about women that they should be getting on stage more and more, whether they are speaking or not. But we must try and get them as many as possible. At least on my podcast, I get as many women as possible, and that is very much evident from the numbers that you can see on my YouTube channel. Be that as it may, for those people who would like to know more from you, learn more about this, Bobby, what is the best way for them to do so? And also, those who would like to be a part of your marketplace, what's the best way to do so?
Innovationwomen.com. Come and check it out. We have all kinds of resources for speaking and speaking as a woman on our website that are free and available to anybody. So innovationwomen.com.
Absolutely. With this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.
Thank you for having me.